Oh yeah, sexy biscuits. Nice.
Long was 1975. A YouTuber's on the rise. Reviewing games late at night and sometimes friends. But Long was 1975.
Hey YouTube, Longboys Post 1975 and welcome to the random vlog. It is particularly a random vlog this week because people find it quite odd for someone who's, is into video games as me, someone who's a massive retro collector and has quite a few, newer systems and things like that, and to own multiple systems over the years and stuff like that. In 1996, in 2006, right, my primary console by choice from round about late summer all the way through to 2007 was a Nintendo Gamecube. So we're talking, I owned a Gamecube, nothing else. I think I got a DS as well, but obviously that's a handheld console. Yeah, I owned a Gamecube when we truly got into the then next-gen generation, the 7th generation. So Xbox 360, which would have been out the Christmas before I bought my Gamecube, so Christmas 2005. You know my 360 story, and obviously I was in Canada in 2005 to mid 2006. But yeah, I did a random vlog a few weeks ago on my 360 story. So this is kind of my Gamecube story, even though I didn't own a Gamecube very long. Obviously, 2006 Christmas, the Wii came out, and then in 2007, in the United Kingdom at least, because it was 2006 in Japan and North America, but in 2007 in the United Kingdom, the PlayStation 3 came out. My God! Did we get fucked over on that? I never owned one, but the point is, once again, the UK got shafted on the launch date for consoles. Now, there's a reason behind this. I was a snob at the time when the GameCube was launched in this country. It was 2002, wasn't it? If you go by what they say on the internet, by all means, correct me down below, but if you're going to get into tech wars and stuff like that, don't care. But I heard that it was more powerful than an Xbox and considerably more powerful than the PlayStation 2. To be fair, the Xbox was considerably more powerful than the PlayStation 2. And obviously what let it down was its audio format, optical media format, because they used those mini discs because they were absolutely petrified of piracy, so it meant that it couldn't hold as much information as a DVD. Also couldn't have a DVD player. Sure, after the PlayStation 2 that must have hurt sales and stuff like that. Don't know about the Xbox because you had to buy a remote. Dick move there, Microsoft, dick move. You had to buy a remote, didn't you, for the, well, I've got one and a dongle, receiver in the front of my OG modded Xbox. But must have had a hand in it, and it was generally perceived as being a toy. But I do remember, because I moved to Canada in 2003, I do remember in early 2003, Argus was selling them at like 75 quid off, already, and bundled with games and stuff. People were trying to offload them. Obviously we know now that it was a failure, but obviously it's now generally considered an absolutely fantastic system with some incredible games on which, I have a 65 game collection on the GameCube, some absolute bangers, some rarities and stuff like that, and some, some of the cheaper ones that are still absolutely fantastic, which we might cover in this video, but we might not. Don't know yet. Haven't made my mind up. But yeah, it tanked, basically. And yeah, the purple design, which I think is fantastic now, and the handle, so you could carry it over your mate's house, as if somehow carrying a console around your friend's house was a particularly cumbersome chore. Don't know, but it tanked, didn't it? Basically in every market. What did it do? Come third. Did it beat the Dreamcast? Can't remember. Don't know. But the bottom line is, I, like a lot of people then at that point, had a snobbish attitude towards it. Crap little discs, looks like a kid's game, tanked, third-party software. Well, it wasn't, starved of it, was it, to be fair, the Wii U and stuff like that. But then comparing the GameCube to the Wii U, that's a bit stupid, isn't it? I am. Or is it? I am aware of that. But the point is, yeah, I had a snobbish attitude towards the GameCube. My only sort of real experience of it was one of my mates that hung out with a lot in my office in Canada. The person I talk about in my 2019 Christmas message video, my first Christmas in Canada, Hugo had a GameCube because he was a big Nintendo guy. Now, I wasn't a big Nintendo guy, never had an N64. My brother Jason did, played a few bangers on there, such as GoldenEye. Can't think of any other bangers on there. I know. Don't rate the Zelda on there. I did a video about that years ago. Games that everyone loves that I don't. Now I get flack for. Couldn't give a fuck about Ocarina of Time. Don't like Mario 64. Sue me, bite me, kill me. I don't know. All of the above. But so I bypassed that and then went straight to a GameCube in its final year. Well, it was dead in 2006, so it ran from 2002 in the UK to 2006, and its final game was Twilight Princess, which was then a launch for the Wii, which was my next system. In Christmas 2007, I bought a Wii. So ultimately, my GameCube experience carried on, but I did it on a Wii with component cables and on an HD TV, so it looks shiny and fantastic. Whereas my GameCube, I played via RGB on a CRT, so it looked all right. Old CRTs, we miss you. How we shafted you when we abandoned you like that, honestly, because it's still the best way to play certain generations of systems. Anyway, so I was big into my Super Famicom, and so obviously SNES, and then never went into PlayStation Town, which I love. Never did N64, but had access to it because of my brother. My mate Hugo just kept going with Nintendo because he always loved Nintendo. So I saw a few games, and there was an EB beneath in the shopping mall beneath in the underground city beneath the my office building. So I saw GameCube games in there a lot and stuff like that, and I do remember seeing Twin Snakes. We'll get to that. Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes, but other than that, can't really recall seeing anything on it that really tickled my fancy. Can't believe I said tickle my fancy. I do remember seeing commercials on TV. When funnily enough, only ever saw them when I was in the bar at night for Wind Waker, we'll get to that, and Star Wars Rogue Squadron 3 Rebel Leader. But anyway, so even then, because we both pre-ordered the Matrix game, he pre-ordered it for the GameCube. I am waffling all over the shop. I am aware of this. I pre-ordered it for my PlayStation 2 because I had a PlayStation 2 in Canada, but it wasn't shipped, so I was limited to buying games. That sucked because the PlayStation 2 that I had in the United Kingdom that I got on launch, have done a vlog about that, nostalgic memories of PlayStation 2, which I got on launch, then got shipped, and then I had like hundreds of games, and that might be exaggerated by by the time I sold it. So I sold it in 2003 to a girl from our office in Dublin, and shipped it to Dublin. With one of our engineers who went over, he literally took it over in this massive crate of pirated games, allegedly. Anyway, so yeah, that's just a little bit of history. So, the point is, I remember when we got the Matrix, and this is when I first realised about the discs, and I was looking at it, and I say, oh, GameCube, what's it look like inside? Memory card slot. I went, wait, it's on 2 discs? I'm like, it's on 1 DVD for me. That disc must be tiny. Actually, that's one of the games I did get. But don't know why I'm writing it down now, a bit obsolete. So the point is, kind of a snobbish attitude, stuff like that. My business got bought out and then basically folded and moved to Chicago and stuff like that. So I was this close to landed immigrancy, or I would have obviously been a Canadian now, or a landed immigrant, and I wouldn't probably have a YouTube channel. So I don't know, is that a good thing, a bad thing? But so I came back to the United Kingdom. I came back in very late summer 2006, and I did not own a video game system at all. My brother Jason had a PlayStation 2, and it was chipped, and he used to buy games allegedly off Tinterwebs, and it would come in the mail along with movies, allegedly. And yeah, he had loads of stuff, and I got to play it every now and then, and it was alright. But I'm like, I need a computer because I got a job again at this point. I could have bought 360 at this point because I wasn't completely skint when I came back from Canada, because I got severance, so I had a couple of £1,000 in my bank account, and then I got a job, so I wasn't tucking into that. So I could have bought 360, but at the time my brain was like, I'm not seeing any system killers on it, and it's a little bit too expensive for me to drop all that money on. But I want a system, but I don't want a PlayStation 2 because I've been there and I've done that, and I know it's like 4 years later. So there's a lot more, really cool games and stuff like that on it. But since my brother's got one and he's got access to pirated games and stuff like that, not really something I want to do. And like I said, I want to own something I haven't played. And my brain just went, do you know what? I might get a GameCube, if only because I never experienced it properly for myself. It's got basically Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation 1 is my favourite game of all time. Never changed. It's got, a new shinier version of that. I did actually play the PC version that was like 3D effects enabled of Metal Gear before I went to Canada. That would have been like in the late 90s, so I knew that because that looked shiny and fantastic, but this was way above, it wasn't just like a souped up version of the PlayStation version. It's been written from the ground up, new voices, stuff like that, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? I know I'm going to get a GameCube. I'm going to get it, and I want to get that game. Didn't know it was still quite hard to get then. Doesn't command the prices it does now. So I thought, right, I'm going to get a GameCube. And one Saturday afternoon, when I wasn't working, I went into Pink Planet. Oh, I miss you, Pink Planet. And am I right in thinking there isn't a single one left now in the country? Right, never mind. Oh, this is going to get all sentimental. So, yeah, I went into Pink Planet and I looked around, and so 2006, right? So, and we know that the Wii is coming. We know that the Wii is coming. It was all over Tinterwebs and it was all in magazines. Who remembers those? And I walked around and I saw that they had a GameCube. And in 2006, you could buy a GameCube in Pink Planet with one control pad, one memory card, not a massive one, but enough to get you going, unboxed for about £65. And they chuck in a game if you wind it them enough. And so I thought, fuck it, GameCube it is then. And it was the black one. And it's only when you see the black one and realise how plain it is that you think everyone taking the piss out of the purple one was wrong, because that was a thing of beauty. And it didn't look like a toy, it looked like something majestically glorious. Anyway, so I bought it, and thing is, right, in 2006, I mean, a few games were still kind of up there, and obviously Twilight Princess was still going to come out full price, at the end of the year to coincide with the Wii version, only the mirror image was flipped because of the remote, wasn't it, on the Wii U or whatever. That goes for a pretty penny now. And they did have one eventually in that year in the glass case. I think they only got one copy. Excuse me. So yeah, I bought it, and games are super cheap, and I bought a bunch of games with it, and like a few, and I thought like 5, and I thought that'll be enough to keep me going. And yeah, because you can walk into cash converters, right, and you can buy games for literally pounds. I mean pounds, and some of these now go for some decent money. Some of them are still super cheap, but thanks to lockdown, they've still kind of risen a bit, but stuff like that. Because I remember I bought Resident Evil 4 again on the GameCube, pre-lockdown, off Amazon for pounds. Literally, the most expensive thing about it was postage. Now that's about 8, maybe a tenner. I don't know, by all means correct me if I'm wrong. So, the games I got with it were those true crime games. What was it, New York and LA? Don't know. They were shite. I literally took them straight to a charity shop a couple of days later. And then, funnily enough, they ended up back in Pink Planet, because those cheap bastards were going over and looking at the charity shops buying stuff, because I wasn't going to trade it in for them for pounds. I thought, fuck it, I'll take it to a charity shop, so charity benefit. Yeah, so the next time I took games to a charity shop, I didn't do it in Bedminster. Fuck you, Pink Planet, that's cheap. Or, you could argue, good capitalism. But going to that extent for your company, when they pay you minimum wage, no, I think that's a dick move. But yeah, they were shit. But I got NHL 2003 because the last hockey game I played was the launch one, or whatever the first one was that came out, NHL game, EA NHL game on the PlayStation 2, and actually really quite liked it. Now, obviously, I was super into hockey because of my time in Canada, and the Habs were my team, and that generally really impressed me, even though it was on my CRT, and it looked great. It looked fucking great. I mean, most of the stuff that you would play, you would just see that it was on par with a PlayStation 2, and obviously I could play that on a PlayStation 2. But yeah, like, it was the games. You know, there were a few games nagging in my head that I really wanted to play, that I remember people were saying were above PlayStation 2, and those were Star Wars, because I do remember when I was in Canada and I flipped the cases on those. First one, obviously, you know, came out before I went there because it was a launch title, but it said actual game graphics on the back, and literally on the back it did look like the movie. It looked like, you know, the Death Star bits and stuff like that. It looked like, you know, the finale of the original movie. Star Wars, because it's not A New Hope, it's Star Wars. It's not original Star Wars, it's Star Wars, because that's what I grew up with. And yeah, so that was nagging in my brain. I thought, I gotta play that. Is it as good as it says it is? And I think I bought that, both of them, for literally £1 each. And they went for like £3 for years until the pandemic. And even now, I think they're probably only maybe £5.99, £6-7 in sort of cash generators and CEX. But I bought both of those and I played them in sequence. And they blew my fucking mind. And that's when I realized this machine is something special. This is clearly better. Because I mean, don't get me wrong, I've seen Gran Turismo 3 and stuff like that on the PlayStation 2. But graphics on these games were like a cut above PlayStation 2. In my opinion, Fight Amongst Yourselves was a more powerful console. And I was genuinely, and being a massive Star Wars fan, before Kathleen Kennedy and Disney fucking flogged its corpse into the absolute ground. Stop it, Disney, please. For the love of God, just stop. Bury it and give it the respect it deserves and leave it buried for at least a few years or sell it back to George Lucas. But yeah, I was fucking blown away by those games. Like, seriously, completed both of them, all the secret stuff like that, inside and out. Still play them, still love them. The fact that Rogue Squadron 3, Rogue Leader, the outside, the vehicle and foot stages aren't so great, but they're still kind of cool. But the fact that they put the original 3 Star Wars arcade machines in there by Atari, that was fucking mind blown as well. But yeah, absolutely fucking love them. And that's when I realised that this machine had some absolute potential. This isn't going to be a massive list of games either. This is just the games that struck a chord with me that I played in this a year and a bit of owning it. And I do massively regret that. I trimmed my Gamecube game collection so much when I bought a Wii, and all I've essentially done, and I have a collection video of it. It's a few years old. 2 collection videos actually, one in an update. Could probably do an update again, but yeah, and all I did basically after that was just try and repiece them back together. But the other 2 games, the other game I bought with it, just because it was super cheap, it was in Pink Planet for £2, was Mission Impossible. I don't know why. I think it was because I remember the hype for Mission Impossible for the N64 and how everyone was going it was going to be like GoldenEye but with Mission Impossible, and it was meh. But the fact that, this could do what that game was supposed to deliver us, but never actually delivered us, because I played at my brother's N64, and it was awful. It was absolutely awful. But I do remember another game that I got, and I didn't even realise there was a Sega arcade machine of it at the same time, and it felt a bit weird that Sega were making this game, but the F-Zero on the Gamecube was just eye candy fantastic. Still looks absolutely amazing to this day. The frame rate is insane. The arcade game's actually hidden in it, isn't it? But it doesn't play properly because of the controls or something, and you need an action replay, specific one, to be able to access it, which I don't have. I've seen videos on it, but I would really like to try and access that and play it. But yeah, that was fucking phenomenal. Sega doing a legendary Nintendo IP is a crossing the streams moment, but that was absolutely insane. And again, I was like, this is incredible. Why did I turn my nose up at this system? That's the last F-Zero game, isn't it? Get on that. I bought some Gamecube games. I still buy them, ones that I've never ever played, but I'm not going to talk about those. But yeah, so between Star Wars and F-Zero, I'm really, really liking this machine. And then another couple of games I bought, which I absolutely loved. The Matrix was also one I got on, when I bought the system, because it was super, super cheap. And I know I ended up with PlayStation 2 in Canada, but it was just super fun, just doing bullet time and beating the crap out of people. But yeah, I don't think I own that anymore. I mean, I don't know, repieced it together. But yeah, because it was literally, I think they did me a deal on buying 5 or 6 games. But then I bought some games that you could argue that, couldn't argue that because they were PlayStation games. But I remember buying Resident Evil 2 and 3, which I sold both of them because I was a fucking idiot weeks after I got the Wii. But seeing them all cleaned up and shiny and fantastic, but still essentially the same games, and because they're both amazing games and I love them, complete them. Absolutely complete them. And just remember thinking, look, we've got Resident Evil on the Nintendo Gamecube. Good time. I am aware 2 was out on the N64, but yeah, they were brilliant. I did manage to piece together Resident Evil 2 again a few years ago, but that was getting kind of pricey. But then there was another 2 games and this is obviously Nintendo's first party titles, which was I heard people going on and on and on about this, and I heard that when I was in Canada from my mate Hugo saying the Metroid Prime games are fucking amazing, and they were. And back then in 2006, I don't think I paid more than a £5 each for either one of them. I don't think they're maybe they're about 20. Well, maybe the first one's about 20 quid. But that was never played a Metroid game in my life. Wasn't really into kind of RPGs and shit in my life. But my God, did those games, specifically the first one for me, just suck you in. I think I only got halfway through the first one, but visually it was amazing. The story is absolutely fantastic. Everything about that game was just brilliant. And my brother Jason saw me playing it and he was like, what the fuck? So he lent me his PlayStation 2 and I let him my Gamecube for a couple of weeks. And he just went, I don't want any games other than the Metroid Prime games. And so, I think he probably completed at least the first one, came back and just went, that was a fucking phenomenal experience. I didn't know the Gamecube, because he experienced it from his mate John Paul, who owned one, and then sold it as soon as the 360 came out. And yeah, he said, honestly, I didn't realise that the Gamecube had such fucking bangers like that on it. And yeah, he loved it. And I loved the Metroid Prime game. So like, my love for this little box, and I'm thinking, I mean, obviously the lack of the DVD drive, stuff like that, very late launch, 2002, at least in the UK. I mean, obviously the earlier launch didn't help it in Japan or, North America. Badly marketed. Quite cheap when it came out, wasn't it? 200 quid when it came out, and then obviously like it went down fucking super cheap. But I'm thinking, why did this thing tank? I mean, the discs, right? That didn't help it, but why did this thing tank? Because like the Star Wars game and the Metroid Prime games, and like we're up to Christmas at this point, and like fucking loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. I'm thinking this is an absolutely fantastic system. I was a snob and I was wrong, and the fact that everything was so cheap. Oh my God, if I had a time machine now. Or I'd just go back and buy the lot, or I'd just go back in time and slap me in the face that day I went to Pink Planet with a big box of games and just say, don't do it, man. But played Umbrella Chronicles, because I never ever played that, but saw my brother play it on the Dreamcast, and that was fantastic, but obviously that wasn't a GameCube original. But yeah, now we're getting to some really, really, really cool ones. But the one for me where Eternal Darkness as well, that was nothing else like that. Absolutely nothing else like that. But another one, right, that really, see, I'm not going to go massively into it because I never got massively far through the game, and to explain some of the stuff in it would just eat up the video massively. And this is just a random vlog explaining like that year when I dabbled with the GameCube, and it was my only system, and I walked away completely changed, and that's why I carried on after that massive rookie mistake of selling a load of my games, getting them back together and carrying on still to this day through my Wii. Yeah, I don't have a GameCube anymore. I don't really see the point if I've got two modded Wiis, if you see what I mean. And I've also got a couple of American games and some Japanese games because of, Gecko. But one that I do remember caused a massive amount of fucking controversy and a divide in the fan group. And I remember seeing the adverts for it, so I said, start this video. Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. Saw that advertised in the bar I drank in Montreal. And I remember looking at it going, this looks fucking phenomenal. And I think even my mate Hugh at the time said, don't like it, looks stupid, cel-shaded graphics, look really kid, look what have they done with Zelda? Shouldn't look like that. He should look like he did in Twilight Princess, kind of more serious and stuff like that. And I don't know, I looked at it and thought, this looks really nice, like a proper cartoon. I can't remember there had been any other cel-shaded games at that point, but I hadn't seen them, and I thought this looks fucking phenomenal. And then I remember all the backlash online and magazines and stuff like that, him mentioning it. I'm pretty sure it was him. A few other people in the office mentioned, like, oh fucking no, I'm not buying that. How dare you, Nintendo? How dare you? And then I bought that when that was literally about a fiver. I have it on the GameCube now, it's solid, and I actually have the HD remaster on the Wii U, but that was via a download code when I bought Super Mario 8. That was a shrewd move, Nintendo. Shrewd move. So yeah, I bought it back in the day, and I just thought, and I never played a Zelda game properly. Watched my brother play A Link to the Past, because he loved them on and completed it on his SNES with a Super Wild Card, allegedly. And I watched him beat Ocarina of Time when I had my PlayStation, but he had an N64, and he raved about what a fantastic game that is now. I mean, I actually have a boxed copy of it now for my Nintendo 64 mint, but that was simply because I came across it at a really good price, and it felt rude to leave it there in the shop window all lonely. And they did me a deal because I bought Sega Raiders Volume 1 on the Dreamcast at the same time for my cash generators on the other side of town. But that's irrelevant. So I completed Wind Waker. And the navigating in the boat bit, alright, yeah, that was a bit shit, I'm not going to lie. But they fixed that in later ones, but then I don't have a Switch, do I? But the point is, fucking loved that. Absolutely amazing. Said to all these people who love Zelda, I don't even like Zelda. You people are turning your nose up at this game. I've never played a Zelda game, and I've played this, and I've completed this, and I love this. It looks great, but even before looking great, and you all being snobs over the fact that it looks like a baby's game, the story is fucking mind-blowing. It is, because I played every Zelda game since. It's still my favourite Zelda game. Honestly, if you've not played it, play it. Honestly, I'm pretty sure it's gone the other way on it now, and people recognise what a fantastic game it is, and this whole divide has realised that they were wrong and come over to the correct side. But yeah, that was another item. That was another game that just kept cementing me that you knew if you bought basically a Nintendo game for this, like I didn't have Super Mario Sunshine until like a couple of years ago, maybe 5 years ago. So that wasn't in this initial time. Certainly wasn't in that year. But the point is, first party Nintendo games on the GameCube were just fucking amazing, absolutely fucking amazing. But yeah, that did it for me. Like absolutely did it for me. And then the game that I absolutely love that I've beaten is not as good as the PlayStation version. It is not as good as the PlayStation version. And I played a few more games in it, but this is primarily a year and a bit of what I played, because I would rinse and repeat stuff that I absolutely really loved. And the thing is, games like Zelda took me a while, because I'm not an RPG guy. I mean, you'll probably say it's not an RPG. I'm saying it is an RPG. Oh yeah, I got Lego Star Wars. I think that was the only game I bought full price in Pink Planet. And the original Lego Star Wars, not the original, the first game would be the prequels, but I bought original Star Wars trilogy. Fucking love that. I love that so much that I got a game for Christmas in 2007 on my Wii. And I can't remember what it would have been in 2007. I think it might have been the Shy Tiger Woods. And because I still had my copy of Star Wars Original Trilogy knocking around, I ended up playing that instead on Christmas Day, after I got rid of my GameCube. But yeah, fucking love that. Because you got to remember, initially when they came out, the Star Wars Lego games were brilliant, and it was fucking fantastic on the GameCube. The other thing, obviously, I've got to mention, a bit late in the video now to mention at this point, is it's my favourite controller of all time. Everyone said the controller looked like a fucking toy. The controller is a thing of beauty, and it's incredibly comfortable. D-pad's a little pants, really, actually, to be fair, for fighting games, which there are a few, like, on their Street Fighter collections and shit like that. On there, maybe some Neo Geo collections. Don't know, because I didn't have any of those, but fucking loved it. And the fact that around the analog stick, they edged it, so you could kind of hold it and lock it in position. And the shoulder button. Best control pad ever, especially if you got it in purple, even if your console's not purple, because it just looks utterly fantastic. But anyway, so yeah, Lego Star Wars was the only game I bought for new, and I think I paid 35 quid for it, which, did I pay 30? Yeah, in Pink Planet. And I love that. But the best game ever, obviously, Resident Evil 4, borrowed that off a kid at work who, still had a GameCube, just got an Xbox 360, and I used to give him a lift home from work. And one day, when I went into his house, I said, "Show me your GameCube collection," and he showed me it. He had a fucking huge collection, and I bought off it. I borrowed off him Resident Evil 4, which at the time, graphically, I'd seen it on the PlayStation 2. My brother had it, but that was a different game engine, wasn't it? But at the time, graphically, even on a CRT, playing Resident Evil 4, got about 3/4 of the way through. Didn't beat that until I got it on the Wii, because the Wii version of the remote is just sublime and silky. But I'd never seen anything like it. That was like literally at the time the best graphics I'd seen on that generation of consoles. And who knew then how many times it would get remade? But yeah, that was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And I borrowed that off him, but he had Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes, and I just saw his collection. I didn't even say I want to borrow it off you. I just went, "Sir, I wish to purchase that game from you," and he sold it to me in 2006 for. Is this a good price then? I don't think it had a super high print run. It's not. It's a Silicon Knights game as well. It's not really a Konami game, is it? I mean, Silicon Knights made it. Did Konami release it? But he sold it to me for 18 quid. And you're looking at a guy who's rinsed and repeated the original Metal Gear. Still have a memory card with all my, saves of the original Metal Gear Solid from my original PlayStation back in the day. So I got bandana, stealth suit, shit like that. Yeah, I rinsed and repeated it, knew it off by heart, still know it off by heart, but can still enjoy it. And I just went, I need to experience Metal Gear Solid. Now, I know a lot of people say it's not as good as the PlayStation version, and I would argue it is not as good as the PlayStation version, but from a visual perspective, it is fantastic. I needed to experience it in this format, in this All right, chill your beans, Clark. That means I really have to get breakfast because I'm fucking starving. But yeah, and he sold it to me. I think it's because he was always broke. I mean, what's it go for now? 70 quid. It's also one of the games. Guru Larry told me when I put a picture of it, is CEX wanting something like maybe even 100 quid for it, saying, yeah, bummer, it's one of the games that suffers from the disc rot the worst. I still check it. I still have that copy I bought off this kiddie in 2006. Still check it a lot to make sure it's still fine and it still works. But yeah, so he sold it to me because he was always broke, so 18 quid. And then literally I had 3 days off and I completed it. Just like on the, all difficulty levels. Just went through, unlocked everything like that. Lost that memory card. Oh, see, I need to do it again because I don't have a memory card with any saves for it on now. And it's a little bit daunting, not because I don't know how to play it, but because I can't be bothered to have to go and get all the stuff I had unlocked. But yeah, anyway, for those 3 days, and he was saying to me, isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing? You love the original one, on the PlayStation. Isn't it amazing? And at the time it was, because it was Metal Gear, and that was the pinnacle of my GameCube experience was Metal Gear Solid, because it just looked fucking fantastic, and it's like, I get to play Metal Gear with the visuals it always deserved, and obviously it put first person mode in because it was kind of like throwing some nods between it and Metal Gear Solid 2 on the PlayStation 2, which I actually owned on the PlayStation 2 before I went to Canada. Didn't really like it back then because you had to be Raiden. Kind of like it a lot more now, but yeah. Didn't need first-person mode in the GameCube version, but yeah, this has been all over the shop, and it's not been massively in detail. But that year, 2006, late summer till Christmas, 2007, I had a GameCube as my only console, and I may have bought a few more games off people here and there that I've not mentioned in this video. Maybe bought a few that I can't remember. Super cheap, but we're talking stuff that would have been like pounds and stuff like that. And I bought Smash Brothers on it, but it didn't work. I could never find a copy of Smash Brothers on the GameCube that works until like 2 years ago for some reason, when it was expensive. And it's generally the best version, isn't it? But I don't think it is. Sorry, I prefer it on the Wii U. But yeah, and what a fucking great year. And then obviously in 2007, PlayStation 3 was out. Didn't want one. Brother had one, but didn't want one. Too expensive. Not enough cool fucking shit on it. All the early games were pants. Xbox 360, my story of that. Still wasn't interested in that until I started hanging out with someone, which would have been in 2008, so a year or so later. Didn't get mine until 2009 though. Yeah, didn't want it, wasn't interested. But those, just over a year, stuff like that, because it wasn't really 18 months, was it? But, it was longer than a year. Fucking GameCube was brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and to this day I think, let this be a lesson to you, Dave, and everyone else out there who still has a snobby opinion of it and thinks it's a fucking shit console. The tide has changed, which is, never take that mindset, regardless of what people say, regardless of what the press says. Make your own mind up, because if I wasn't for this, I don't want a PlayStation 2, don't want an Xbox, I'm going to get a GameCube. If it wasn't for that, and I got to get a PlayStation 2, still to this day probably, even watching YouTube videos, I probably would have had, that it's a crap console with shit small stories and stuff like that. Looks like a baby's toy. So yeah, I fucking loved that year and a bit. Absolutely loved it. And the GameCube has gone down now because of that as one of my favourite consoles of all time, with some absolutely blinding games on it, some absolute gems on it, which, if you watch my GameCube collection videos, you'll see me mention, but obviously this video wasn't about that. This was just me, it's getting away from me in time, I'm aware of that, talking about why I decided to go with a GameCube as my only console for a year and a bit, almost 18 months, instead of anything else, instead of the then next gen, new gen consoles, if you know what I mean. Because some people find that weird when they say, what game system do you own in 2006? I'm sure there are other people who had it in 2006, but obviously me coming back from Canada had a hand in it. But yeah, so anyway, I'd love to know what fucking a snobby turn your nose up opinion of it, and you got to it very, very late, or you got to it because of budgetary constraints and things like that. But yeah, I loved it, absolutely loved it, and I'm glad that it was my only console that so I got to experience these games and didn't just jump in and out, completed a shitload of them, particularly the Nintendo first party ones, and Metal Gear Solid. Anyway, it's always a love to know what I think, especially, like I said, if you owned a GameCube back in the day. Not so much now, but back then, and were late to the party. And I'll see you later.